A lot is clearly at stake. Ignore the prize pool. Everybody wants to be at that Major 1 Summit LAN, and it starts right here in these opening games.
I'm excited. This is what we've been waiting for, Taco. Top 20 to qualify to Dusseldorf. A lot of interesting things with this major finals. First major finals where we'll see this kind of net surge play out. So I'm curious to see how that differs from previous major finals we've seen. We've got one of our top teams contested. Well, two. I mean, there's just too many. Sky and Scroll last minute contested. We have Sharktini also contested, but I mean, that's been going on for a while now. So a lot of exciting stuff to see today.
And of course, you can never anticipate that a team that's contested today is also going to be contested tomorrow. Who's going to be able to defend their drop spots? We'll find out because game one's ready to roll.
This first match of the day will say a lot. Russ is going to start south though. So for Sharktini, Buddy Fishy, going to be a little late to the party. You're going to have to be careful from the east side teams as well. We've seen knocks happen out the air multiple times. This is going to be exciting.
Really just thinking about all the craziness that's about to build up over by New
damn,
Sanctuary.
man.
Legendary
Bus
POI for
suck
starters. And not only that,
start.
but easily one of the most active parts of the mini map just in general, Takata. I mean, we saw how many teams are going to be contesting each other almost immediately. And so you have to anticipate that sparks are going to fly. And whether or not teams are able to establish those first couple of footings, that's going to be the real difference maker, because momentum is difficult to build. It's very easy to kind of let the nerves interfere, I think, for these first couple of lobbies. So all these teams really just trying to settle in.
Take a quick look at what happened with Reason over here. Quick off spawn engagement, but it looks like Reason Noah are gonna be the ones staying on top. The pressure is not gonna get to experienced players like these as we hop on over to one of the main events today. Sharktini up against Buddy Fishy, and they're not gonna waste any time.
More than one prize here at stake over by Wonkyland. Another legendary POI in this lobby, but it's going to be Teeny from overhead. Shark trying to find some of these opening shots. Fishy on the run here. Buddy just trying to hold the floor from underneath him. Shark still looking for the top. Gonna try and readdress from a separate angle. Teeny takes a big pump though, and that's gonna force him to try and push back. Just a little bit of space created here, but Fishy, Buddy, they are still just locked inside of this building. Shark and Teeny know that one misstep could be the end of it, and they'll choose to disengage, but it's only to head back over to the vendings. They're just trying to make sure that they can build their shield back up.
We know how aggressive this team is. They're not gonna let go so easily. I saw quickly too, Swizzy has actually gone down as well. So tough start. Good news is this is major finals. You mentioned it already, Taco. 12 matches throughout 2 separate days. Chino and Pablo. They have Sandy Strip uncontested. Minnie was saying, despite being contested or uncontested, it's those later moments of the match that ends up being a bit troublesome for them. And being in what's the hardest lobby now here in the major finals, Surge, it's going to be as difficult as it can be. Rotations are going to be as difficult as they can be. So they're going to really have to make something happen here.
But this is not their first Grands lobby, Takata, so you just have to imagine that they've definitely done their homework. They've got their plan locked in. Chat Flixie, very similar notes though, much calmer scenes too. North of the map here at Storm Station, uncontested, and so they won't have anybody to kind of intervene with their starting loot path. They're really just looking to try and build up as much as they can before they start looking for some of those early net surge tags. Teams have to be wary though as they make their moves, especially some of the teams in this Frigid Fortress area. Karama and Akira looking to represent France big time here today.
Yeah, I got hopes for this duo. They always seem to make it to finals, but a lot of the time, especially recently, they're kind of on the middle end of the leaderboard. Good news is top 20 is what you need, but I'd like to see them, you know, I don't know if it's going to be in this major, maybe just this year. I want to see them kind of elevate a little bit more, and instead of being one of those kind of top 15 teams, I want to see them get into that top 10. They have the experience to head on over to Squibbly Shores.
checking back in essentially with Reason and O'Reilly after they won their first off-spawn scuffle over by the gas station. Squibbly Shores is still bound to draw plenty of other teams to the area. Nathan Nebs, one part of the POI, Shaco's Tilio on a separate direction, and Takata, you have to bear in mind with Shaco's and Tilio kind of just stalking out this porta potty.
People not.
One misstep is all it takes
He not
for an
that
immediate
dumb.
collapse. I like the intentions here. It seems like they are really fishing for an elimination or
Yeah,
two,
dude.
but it might not come so easy to them.
Where's the
What I love about
tilted
Major
bow
Finals lobbies is
anyway?
you have a lot of time to study what your opponents have been doing throughout the season in your surrounding areas. So if you see common rotates they tend to take at certain zones, you can try and prepare yourself for that. Sometimes it'll work out, sometimes it won't. But for Shakos and Co., they're just going to play the waiting game.
They might be waiting a little bit longer than intended here, though, Takata. No one's even nearby. The other porta potty they could make use of, so Reason, Noah, also just taking their time. Biko and Malabuka. Now, I know the desk kind of touched on it, where they've had so many instances, I think, of coming so close to solidifying themselves as just like the outright best team and then just fallen short here, Takata. But now, leading into this Grand Finals performance, they know that it's more than just that placement to the Major One Summit land that they've got riding on this. It's also a lot to do with their pride.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about the kind of new era in EU with a lot of the legends not coming through, but I'm going to pause on that thought as Storm Demas seem to have got themselves into a quick engagement in Storm.
This is not the sort of sight that Twig and Niger want to be dealing with. Deemish and Darn, you have to remember, during Div Cup finals, they were certainly getting the better end of this sort of engagement. But at least for right now, both of these teams kind of just holding each other at bay. Deemish Darm, though, seemingly got exactly what they were after. Might have been just to try and confirm a little bit of surge damage, but this is a much different venue than what we were anticipating for them to be dropping.
That it is. No, Levin touched on this as well. Now Cammy leading the pack here on EU with finals appearances, with a lot of our legends not having made it to this major final. The thing is, the expectations in terms of placement are not quite there yet for Cammy and Hari, so I'm excited to see if they can prove themselves throughout the day today.
Might be looking to make a little bit of a more sneaky approach against Skyjump and Momsy, the way that they're kind of scaling up that mountain face. Scroll and Sky also got much calmer views. Sky mostly just taking over the efforts of keeping tabs on their surge damage, kind of scouting out the perimeter. But there is not a singular soul in sight. So they know they've just got to start making their moves, but plenty of heals to spend some time inside of Storm if they need to. Rocky stuff, though, for a couple of other teams. Lusha, Howley, a little bit more split than what they would like to be. And this is a big debut, I would say, for Lusha, especially just trying to make up for some of the things that went down inside of Heats.
Don't have to comment on it yet. Now, if it happens again, we'll see. But, you know, let's hope the nerves, you know, got out in Heats. We're now in major finals. The prep has been done. It's time to lock in. Lucy Zangi close by. There's a lot of teams that are kind of contesting around where Sky and Scroll drop at Battlewood Boulevard. So they've rotated towards Sus Studios now.
Ooh.
Oh. But,
That's a big explanation for why Lusha's taken this sweet time, though. Nero and Joshbot in that looming surge base makes total sense why he was just prioritizing staying tucked away inside the building. They will have to expend some materials while Nero and Joshbot take some shots, try and build up their surge. Medius and iDrop, though, another one of our teams uncontested, at least for this opening lobby. And over by Latte Landing, with the zone pulling a little bit more towards this north side, Takata, you have to anticipate that there's going to be some teams trying to maybe cut through. And from these elevation points, Hydra and Medius, it's a real opportunity to get some tags in.
They qualified through a VR in heats. I'm very curious now, just once we reach that kind of surge segment of the match, on just how things are looking in general. Now, Thomas HD focus. We've seen the jokes online. I mean, they're not really jokes, to be honest. The second place player himself, he's gotten top 3 over 10 times. Second place 5 times. Second place at a global championship. He just cannot find the win. And Taco, I think you think that this might be the tournament?
The main thing to focus on is just taking each game in stride. But what I noticed there, Takada, is the mythic pump. There's about a 33% opportunity for them at Riptides to be able to get a mythic shotgun in their hands. And knowing that Focus is going to be the one rocking it, the type of respect that Thomas HD has to have for his co-pilot, it just really indicates how strongly Thomas considers Focus's fragging capabilities, and it's not surprising to see them taking their sweet time over at Riptides either. They love sitting on those vending machines. They can play out those white heels very effectively and look for those later rotations to try and make an approach from dead side of zone. But other teams not really provided that luxury. Teeny and Shark, they're really just looking for that wonky wheel rotation, but Sayas and Sketty, Spaniards, getting a little dicey over by New Sanctuary.
Quite far from zone though, so you can see they don't really want to take this engagement. Loot isn't looking too hot either, to be fair. Kind of curious what happened leading up to this. In terms of damage though, looks like both teams actually are looking quite healthy at the moment if they don't tag each other during this rotate.
Damn.
Still, time that's spent inside of the storm just allows other teams to rotate ahead of you. And not only that, just get boxed up in positions where they could look to try and cut you off. We know just how volatile Surge can be, especially in a set lobby format. But when you compare a Heat final set lobby to the caliber of a Grand Finals, it's a whole different ballpark. And teams like Deemish Darm that have sort of been working their way around the ringer, they know exactly what they've got to do, but it's one thing to know, it's another thing to manifest it.
Yanis, Cheatin, you were talking about them earlier. Now, Yanis, looking to see if you can represent Germany in Dusseldorf. Didn't qual Major 3 in 2025 or Globals, but he did qual every Div Cup last season. Issue was he was always in that middle end of the leaderboard. I think he got like 9th once. This season didn't qual Div Cups, but Heat's performance was there. We're now in the Major Finals. The experience is there. So let's see if they've put in the practice.
Well, we've got a little bit of a check-in with where Huddy and Fishy actually wound up after Wonky Land. Only had Shark and Teeny there. Yapko Panzer, though, getting a little aggressive here now. They are 297 above, but it's because of Fishy and Huddy's desperation. Yapko Panzer likely recognizing that this is a team that is very much hurting with the way that they were trying to just immediately pounce inside of their box, and they are doing a great job at just keeping them shut out. But Panzer just overextends and gets trapped. Yapko now left to try and sort things out himself. He'll be able to at least grab Panzer's body, bring him back to a safety net. But for Huddy and Fishy, it's going to be a clean exchange here. 1 for 1. They are just barely above the damage threshold, so solid effort by Panzer to still come out of something with that. But it's just the fact that it even became such a huge 50-50 in the first place.
Yeah, it is not what you want, especially with Net Surge. You have to be careful on those risky plays, especially when you get up close and personal. But Huddy almost getting knocked, all his shield taken away as now they continue with their rotate.
Ooh, tough scenes for Akira off in the distance. Saw him knocked. Whether or not Karama is going to be able to revive him, we'll have to find out later on. But F9, Moneymaker, They were very much able to kind of prove to everyone that had taken them as being able to win a lobby in their heats. Now they want to prove that it wasn't just the heats level that they are capable of making that happen, right? 250 above right now for their surge threshold. And they've got a great spot currently because they're just looking to try and push people back from the outskirts. But all these teams, you know, that kind of spend a little bit more time inside a storm for whatever reason, XZ, Chris Buka, they are hurting right now. Takata, they got Surge taken away at them. They've got the lobby focusing in on them, and they got Hydro and Keto closing in, looking for the secondary half of this duo. They've already got one elimination. Now they'll take the other. Hydro and Keto might even be able to find a little bit more, but we've got more action taking place here. And Teeny Shark repairs in their sights, just an immediate collapse. That is a tough scenario there for sure for to deal with.
Repairs did not last long, as Darm and Beamish now also getting picked by Surge. I mean, this was a duo that went in 2024 from 0 FNCS finals, 23K earned. In 2025, getting 3rd in Major 2, 6th on a global stage, and over $200,000 in earnings, literally from 23K to over 200K combined for this duo. They rose up very quickly, and now once again a chance to prove themselves in a major finals lobby, but being just right above that threshold, it's going to be difficult for this first match.
More importantly still, I'm only seeing one Flowberry Mist Grenade right now in Darm's loadout, so that's going to be their priority for shield recovery. But not only that, the mobility just looked like it was lacking. They're going to have a tough time on these next couple of rotations if they can't convert an elimination soon enough here. Belusi and Zangy, though, boxed up a little bit higher. Sky Scroll, though, doing an excellent job just picking the lobby apart one by one. Shots are very hard to avoid, especially from teams like Sky and Scroll. They are just applying so much pressure. The gold pistol as well in Scroll's hands. It just feels unfair.
It really does. Average placement of 4 in the Div Cups. I mean, they can play together well. They can play as solos incredibly well. And they're looking strong to kick this off.
There are a lot of teams right now, though, just kind of suffering from surge ticks. Cammy and Hadi are not going to be one of them, though. Instead, they'll join the rest of the lobby, just looking to kind of focus out some of these teams that are very clearly in questionable positions. And it's difficult to tell because there are just so many shots being sent one direction, but Cammy, Hadi, they'll take their chance to strike. They're going to be some of the first to move into that next front side of zone, but they've got to make sure that they avoid a lot of the local foot traffic surrounding them. And I like these look backs in. Sky Scroll just making it look too easy.
Literally, it's like, oh, just look back, shoot, I could do that. In a major finals, understanding how difficult it actually is to position yourself in a good place. What happens before, during the rotates, the shields, the mats, conserving all of this while still getting enough damage for Surge. They're currently showing a flawless performance, but for Marius, he's lost his teammate, forced to play it out as a solo. Luckily enough, though, 85 above Surge, still has a good amount of mobility and heals, so hopefully Marius can rack up some points here.
If there's ever someone to not count out just yet, it's always going to be Medius, though. Takata, especially drawing back to that Heats performance where he solo clutched and went absolutely ballistic. So even with that rough start, not having eyedrop by his side, Medius very likely to still be able to try and convert some placement points here, if not knowing every elimination is worth 4 apiece. That is drawing a lot of desire here, but Flixie and Chap had a tough time keeping their surge above, and Flixie, unfortunately, just 1 second too long of the edit open. A player drive-by finish is so unbecoming, I would say, for Chap and Flixie to be in that kind of spot in the first place. I think that they would definitely like to try and resolve that for Lobby 2, but fact of the matter is the damage has been done. Sky and Scroll, though, they're just looking to continue harassing Benign Moneymaker, Belusi, Zangy. No one is safe right now as long as they're in Sky and Scroll's line of sight.
They've not taken a single risk, too. I mean, they're just taking shots from afar. It's all prime positioning. Ju and Contri, too. Oh, hold on. They actually had the zone pull right by their drop spot, so they're able to double ramp all the way up. Marius still solo clutching it. Teeny now lost a bit of HP as Sky Scroll are going to play full low here.
The main thing is Medius has enough materials to actually make it across to where the zone is pulling for that elevation point on that cliff face. No one has seemingly spotted out this solo just yet in the mid layers. Hasn't been forced down by height. Setting up for Korea, is trying to make his way forward now. Just trying to make sure that he's staying on pace with front side of zone. Ju and Cantry also trying to make sure that they can prevent anybody from challenging them just yet. But it is a big commitment very early on in Malabuka, Sky Scroll. So many strong contenders looking to try and make their way up. And Marius has fallen, but he at least was able to collect 2 eliminations along the way. Still some points to add on. Teeny Shark, though. A lot of work cut out for them. The moment they look back, they see players hawking them down.
Caught off guard. They're put into a bit of panic here. They're going to have to look for a refresh. But if any team is capable of playing aggressive and picking it up, it is going to be Shark and Teeny. Vico Malabuka, on the other hand, showing their experience as well as Chino. Pablo, was that a high ground retake? Potentially. Ju now dropped to just a sliver of HP, and the knock comes through from Chino.
We've got our first takeover in terms of the high ground debate, but Pablo, Chino, definitely a little bit hurt right now. Only 2 builds right now for Pablo. Glove Sheet Prax, they're gonna look to strike now. It's gonna be a force down. Chino immediately dropping layers, trying to see if he can reconnect with his duo Pablo, but he won't get the chance. Taken out by the lobby. Cammy, Hottie, they go for height now. They've sent it. Cammy, last man left standing for the time being. Glove Sheet has been eliminated. That little bit of siphon material going to help them out, but Pablo can't make it back in. Storm gonna clear him out. Cammy forced to drop all the way to ultimate low because of where the zone is pulling, but he's tarping straight back up towards the high ground. Cringe. So many solos left scattered in these lower layers here, Takada, but Cammy, he's gonna keep building up.
This is not what we're used to seeing. Cammy not only on the high ground, but as a solo, still clutching it out. He's out of mats, though, forced to drop down into the depths, gets taken out, and it's all up to Cringe and Volko on height to finish this match off.
But people are forgetting about Scroll here in the underbelly. Volko and Cringe, a healthy duo. They'll be able to connect with our very first Victory Royale here in Game 1. For a moment, it looked like Cammy might just get it done, but the one healthy duo left over in the lobby, they were the ones that knew that they had height so confidently here. A great display to start things off. But Frankie, what do you guys got to say?
So many incredible solo names in the lobby there, but it took 2 to get it done, Mini Miner.
Yeah, really, really nicely done from those guys. The way they took height there, perfect timing on that. They saw Cammy was a solo up there on height, perfect opportunity for them to take it, and then riding out the end game. I've been a big Volko sort of stan, I suppose, over the years. Yeah, I knew you knew that was what I was going to say, but yeah, I've sort of been excited to see his rise. Didn't really happen from him in trios last year. Was looking good in duos. Hasn't really seen too much from him. Hopefully, this is a sign of more to come.
Definitely. It will be interesting to see if these guys can sustain in the lobby, because actually we had a number of players definitely putting their best foot forward there. Some players who sometimes take a few more games to get into it. But for Cringe and Volko, I think top 20 is definitely a certainty for these guys, Levin, even though it's only game 1.
Yeah, let's not get ahead of ourselves, right? You know, you don't want to count your eggs before the... What's the saying?
Count your chickens before they've hatched.
Okay. There you go.
I'm forgetting we've got more than 5 games, Levin. That's what it is.
We got a lot of games, but look, these guys are definitely a team in the running to get top 20 because, one, they have been incredibly impressive, right? They've been one of the stronger teams. I think, you know, a lot of people probably have them in that sort of top 10 sort of area, right? As far as what these guys have shown they can do so far this season. And this is a great start to prove it, not just to fans, but to prove it to themselves.
And they're also a consistent team, Minimana.
Yeah, they are, and I expect to see, considering their drop spot as well, right in the center of the map, looks like they're uncontested. Not quite sure what happened off spawn for those guys in that game, so I'm sure we'll get to see more of that as the tournament develops. But expect to see these guys in end games. It's just whether they'll be able to keep having those highs in terms of the wins.
Well, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll be talking more about Game 1. Cringe and Volko took the first game of the FNCS Europe Major 1 finals, but we've still got 11 more to go. And consistency is king if you want to make the top 20 and the Major 1 Summit in Düsseldorf. 11, it was an impressive performance by a number of big-name duos. If you look at the end game, we had so many solos, including Scroll of Sky and Scroll. And you wouldn't want to count him out, to be fair, in a 2v1, even if he couldn't pull it off this time.
Yeah, not at all. I think the biggest thing for these guys when it comes to that game was we were all wondering, were they going to be landed on in that first game after Josh Bot marked it sort of a couple hours before Grands? And it was a false flag. Nothing happened. They were uncontested, right? So they got to play their game out. And Mini, as expected, when they do get to play their game out, they're going to make it to endgame. So we're going to see Scroll in that position more times this weekend, I can assure you that.
Yeah, back on the prediction now for them to win the FNCS. Right, that was always a bit of a shaky moment for everyone to predict them, and I'm sure for them as well. But that's going to settle them now, I think. You know, realistically for them, of course, that would have been in the back of their mind looking at the drop map. Are we going to be contested? Are we not going to be? Hopefully, it wouldn't have thrown them off too much. And clearly, based on this first game, it seems like it hasn't done. They play exactly how we expect them to play, very hip to hip, not taking any risky peeks. They played exactly how we expected them to in terms of the tarps as well. Sky going forward and Scroll fragging out. So really nice solo clutch here from Scroll. Of course, couldn't quite get the win with a top 3 right there, but still a very, very solid performance from them. And it's a really nice start because we expect lots from them. If this is a team that we thought, yeah, maybe they're contested, they like to make 1 or 2 end games, you think, okay, but this is not going to continue. For them, expect more of the same.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but did Pablo and Chino play it a bit too safe, Mini-Miner? Because they both made it to the end game, but they're sitting in 9th right now, only 3 eliminations.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, it was nice to see them in the end game, of course. We spoke about them at the beginning of the day as maybe a team to watch out for, maybe not necessarily going to have that consistency. We haven't seen it from them so far in their performances this season, but this is a real nice sign of hopefully for what's to come for them, Levin. We spoke about it as well. The talent that's on display, the solo clutch potential. We saw Pablo need to solo clutch a little bit here. Hopefully they can continue to do this.
Yeah, I think the big thing for these guys was obviously they went to play for height, right? That was what they saw as their win condition. And it just got a bit too messy for them, right? They sort of ran out of steam. As the games go on, I'm curious to see again how heavily do they choose to play for height. I think
This
we know that if they
matter,
go up for
you
it, they're
can
gonna be a
play
threat.
hard.
I also think a lot of people
Not
watching
easy.
these guys will go, if you guys just keep playing mid game, you're probably gonna frag out and be able to sort of keep yourself pushing until top 5s that way as well. So I'm interested to see sort of what are these guys feeling is their route to victory in most of these end games of the next 11 games.
You know what I really enjoyed? I loved seeing stress-free surge for Vico and Malabuka 11. It was just lovely to watch.
Yeah, Vico Manabuka, again, a strong first game from a big name that has a lot of expectations. I'm interested to see how much more this continues. Of course, we've seen, Manabuka in the past have really incredible day ones in FNCS finals. And, this one was a fine sort of showing for them again, showcasing some of their best ability. When these two are on mid-ground layers like this and they have to fight teams, there's just, not many people scarier in all of Fortnite, right? Malabuka has been, the boogeyman of mid-ground for years in EU, and Vico, one of the best to ever do it. So these guys, if we see them in more of these positions, Frankie, yeah, I'm going to feel great about them, being a team sort of near the top by the end of the game as well.
And we spoke about it at the beginning of the day as well. These guys are very risk-taking. They maybe make some mistakes, but I think that's going to play into their benefit and into their favor here in the major finals. Some of those teams that are maybe newer that we expect to do well, maybe they'll hold back a little bit. They wouldn't make those same plays they're going to make in those heats, whereas for these guys, they've been here, they've done that. They know what they can do. They know how they can maybe make some of those plays work, and maybe they go a little bit too far sometimes, but at least they have the confidence to take those risks.
Let's take a look at the leaderboard again if we can. I'm curious to see where Cammy, I should say, managed to clutch himself to. I nearly called him Clutchy then, because this was fantastic from him. I don't know if he's the person we expected to see in those final moments there, but it was an impressive showing, Levin.
Why are we, look, this is what I was talking about. Why are we doubting Cammy? This is, Cammy we're talking about. Mr. Kaminsky does not disappoint when it comes to grand finals. And I think even when you look back at, previous FNCSs and duos for him, with how legendary his career has been, one of the funny things is he actually has never won an FNCS duo competition, right? When he won an FNCS, it was trios, but he's had some of the better individual duos performances in the history of this game. I think back to, chapter 5 it was, right? Season 2, where he just absolutely flew, was arguably the MVP of that grand. And if he keeps playing like how he did in game 1, he might have another tournament where we're walking away saying he's the MVP. So a really great start from Cammy.
Is it because we don't necessarily think of Cammy as a clutch? We always think of him as one of a pair mini-miner.
Yeah, potentially. I think, he's one of those players that maybe isn't the most flashy in terms of mechanically, but he's got the brains, he's got that ability, he's got that experience now as well. And even in that particular endgame, I think things could have ended a little bit better for him if that Harpoon managed to get some of those materials. He was up on height as a solo, but ultimately ran out of steam. You saw him there with a Harpoon trying to look into the storm to grab those materials slightly too far away. So I'm just thinking maybe that refresh, if that had a couple of 100 mats on there, maybe we'd be talking about a Cammy solo clutch win here in game number 1 if things were slightly different.
We also saw Shark trying to clutch for the win mini.
Yes, we did. And, it's nice to see these guys, of course, making it to endgame. I think a lot of the conversation, 11, would have been about these guys off-spawn situation. Looked as though they did go for that fight a little bit earlier on. Things then fizzled out a little bit, and we even saw Dharma Dimash in the area as well. But in endgame, this is exactly what we expect from them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this game should be the answer to why a lot of people, even with them being contested, are still so incredibly high on their chances to, walk away with a top 5 today. Because when they do get to play our games, this is what they showcase, right? They make it deep, and they're gonna get a limbs, right? 9 limbs there, not too shabby.
All right then, are you ready for some more, boys?
Always.
Always, a bit more enthusiastic, please. I bet chat is loving it right now. You too, I think you're a bit subdued, but it is only game number 2, so let's head back to Taco and Takata.
Thank you. We're also excited here in the casting booth. Taco, kicking things off, it is getting interesting. Sharktini, it's reminding me not when the 6-0 happened, but in the most recent Div Cups where they took some fights in Wonky. Sometimes it went their way, sometimes it didn't, but in the end games, it was Shark and Teeny that were performing. Sky Scroll in the most recent match, there was a moment they were looking incredibly healthy on low. They did not want anything to do with the high ground, but they ended up in top 3. A lot of big names performing.
Always appreciate a good old-fashioned cringe off. It's kind of hilarious to me that it'd be Cringe and Volko, and then obviously the other component of Cringe and Twy competing for those last couple of slots. But now we've got a whole new lobby ahead of us, so let's get into game 2.
We'll see if the off spawn goes any differently here. I mean, Levin mentioned it earlier as well. We have seen historically teams perform well while conned. Queasy, Swizzy, Mustache getting 4th. It is possible, but it's definitely much more difficult.
And for Panzer Yapko over by Painted Palms, they know that they've got their work cut out for them. They are going to be directly contested by Lunix and Wolvax, who haven't had a chance to strike just yet. Both teams going to be able to get themselves into decent positions, I would anticipate, for the fight, but we'll have to check back in and see how it actually pans out over there. Swizzy, on the other hand, no Pixie in sight. Dark Dominion proving to be a little bit more problematic. And this has kind of been a reoccurring theme with this mid-map position. A lot of people would think Swizzy Pixie uncontested most of the time when they're marked, but it feels like there's always someone that decides to spoil the fun here. And Swizzy, he's just trying to survive.
Are you still dead?
To try and take the tunnel getaway, but that's just going to leave Truly and Gonzo now in full control of Dark Dominion.
The worst part is when this happens and you get that surprise con. If you end up losing that first match from the surprise con, quick, nice elims from Noah, though. Shout out Noah Reason, the back-to-back early game.
Okay, 2-0. You like to see it.
It's what you love to see, the OGs back in business. Going back to Dark Dominion, though, like what I was saying is when you have someone surprise con, if it doesn't go well from them in the first matches, it's likely they might go away. But when they win the first match, they win the second off spawn, it's not looking great for Swizzy and Pixie.
And just look at like the cascading effect it's had too, right? You're seeing other teams now choosing to kind of stroll on over. Hey, Dark Dominion, no Swizzy, no Pixie. Pixie having some issues there. So, hey, why not throw our names into the hat too? So, it's not all clearly cut out for Truly and Gonzo, but at the very least, teams elsewhere always just trying to be very on top of maintaining their surge damage. Swizzy now with a look opportunity here, tries to take out Moneymaker by himself, and he is successful. This is why Swizzy is so highly regarded on EU. He has just put himself into an excellent recovery position now and left Benign to the Wolves.
Our only global champion, reigning global champion, making it to the finals this season. You can see the axe there and everything, so hopefully Swizzy can clutch it up, but coming back in major final lobbies is a whole other ball game. Marius had a good clutch in the last match, but hopefully this time around it can be a full duo playing it out. He's currently 16th with 30 points, so wasn't great, but you know, good enough to hold on. You know, I had Levin earlier talking kind of about estimates, especially for the top 20. It was 5 end games, being a good end game, which is top 5 with 4 elims on average, or 250 to 300 points after these days conclude. So, I mean, so far, decent start.
But they've got to be very careful because Media's eye drop likely have no idea that Yapko Panzer are guarding that rare chest, waiting for the perfect jump scare setup for whoever might be first to stroll into that building. Wouldn't be surprised to see us revisit Latte Landing very shortly. Battlewood Boulevard, Sky Scroll. It was originally believed that they were possibly going to be contested at the start, but it doesn't appear as though Nero and Joshbot have really been able to actually work their way into this position. Sky Scroll, they're just gonna opt for a good old-fashioned surge tower. But when you go this high up, Takata, other teams in the area, it is going to naturally alter the flow of the lobby.
And it is, and some of the duos that might have had surge problems in the last match might be playing a little bit more active this time around. Arco Kire opting for the surge base. Either drop here. Will they actually be able to find connections? Issue is with these 2-day tournaments is, especially after the end of day 1, your opponents kind of learn a lot of your habits and will try and mitigate those tag opportunities for you, or even loot opportunities. Marius eye drop though. Looks like they want to get a bit aggressive.
It's not only that, I think iDrop was unfortunately on the receiving end, considering how low his HP just was. And the fact that they had to expend one of their Flowberry Mist Grenades just to bring him back up to a healthy contention point. But Medius, iDrop, job's not done. Yapko, Panzer on the ropes right now. Panzer incredibly low. Don't know if he's got any white heals to be able to sort himself out. And sure enough, will begin to recuperate some of his HP. But now, without having found a clean knock or elimination there, hopefully they were able to build some surge. But the way that net surge counts up, Takata, wouldn't be surprised if it ended up ultimately kind of working against them, because that's a big time to invest and not really net a huge elimination there.
That it is. In terms of Cringe and Volko here,
ini po ini Haido?
this drop spot is surrounded
What
by
the fuck?
quite a lot of contested duos, so building up extra high, hopefully they can find some options.
Ari and Cammy now on their rotate through Dark Dominion. You already see a lot of these pre-existing builds, and they are fully aware of the fact that Nagi's got himself kind of sorted up in a bit of a search tower off the side of the building. But whether or not they actually choose to challenge it, we'll have to wait and see. Sky taking some shots over by Cringe. But they've got to sort what's going on directly underneath them. Seems like Yorko and Kire want to try and take out Twy and Cringe early on. They are forcing this fight. They are not allowing Twy and Cringe a whole lot of wiggle room here, and it doesn't help knowing that there's third parties kind of witnessing, hey, if these guys are building up in wood right now, they've got to be a little bit worse for wear, and that's certainly the case for Twy right now. Doesn't have a whole lot of material left to work with. So whether or not they wanted this fight, they're going to need to find a conclusion to it if they want to keep backing through this big game.
Going back over closer to Wonky, Darm Dimish now. I'm wondering if Fishy's a solo here. It's looking like he is. And in the 2v1, Fishy will go down. They are looking rough in these early games. It seems that they keep trying to fight a little bit, losing HP, losing shield, kind of Shark Teeny, scaring them away from Wonky Land, and them just being put into shambles and it quite not going their way.
But the fact
Only
that
up
Shark
one
has
kill.
one elimination, that tells me that there's a reason why Fishy was sent packing way west of the map towards Tree Chop Timber Mill. And for Darm Dimish, they'll be more than happy with that elimination. I mean,
What
always
the
have to bear in mind 4 points
fuck?
each, but Cringe.
What a tower.
Talk about a box up. This is certainly a sight to witness. Truly Gonzo in a separate little tower, but it is pales in comparison for sure.
It's funny because there's mountains by Cringe, and the teams based up on the mountains still aren't as high as Cringe is here.
Brother is cranking 90s, that's for sure, but Volko might need to be cautious. Seems like he might be having a maybe recognize the fact that there's Malibuca Vico in the area. Kind of exploring the tunnels for right now. Chat Flixie, on the other hand, dealing with Skyjump and Momsy. They do have splashes, they do have pizza, and they've also got the elevation hold. But it's obvious they're trying to conserve some of their materials here, Takata. Good reason. Panzer Yapko, though, after Latte landing on a little bit south for them, they've been forced to try and find that surge elsewhere. And Lunex seems to be their priority target. Wolvex having already been sorted out. 2 eliminations now. That's going to put Panzer and Yapko right back exactly where they need to be able to play out inside the storm for a little bit more of that dead side.
Nebs and Nathan actually started off quite strong. 6th place, 3 eliminations. Going well so far. Now if they can just keep it up is the question. Good news for them, they're not contested, and the zone has been in their favor. First match, it did go kind of more south southeast. That's why players like Chap and Flixie had a bit of a struggle getting there. Speak of struggle, Minori.
Minori and Darkos kind of just reviewing whether or not they're going to be able to actually take this immediate fight. They know fully aware that there is another team kind of surrounding their area over in Builder's Barracks, but they still want to take a little bit of a calmer approach. They know that they've got the positional advantage against Dandipuzo and Werix. And I like the intentions from Minori. It looks like he's going for an absolute lurk approach. Might be able to catch them off guard from a separate angle if he manages to stay tucked away fully on that crouch approach, but we'll have to wait and see whether or not that actually nets them. A nice couple of eliminations. Focus Thomas, though, one more time here at Sus Studios, and it is evident from their loadouts that they were successful yet again finding that mythic iron pump.
Werix, Dandipuzo, though. And a bit of a pickle here. Minori, Darkos, 118 below. They need these tags. Darkos has been fully cracked, though. It's basically all up to Minori, and there's even a third party with Moneymaker for 9, and there's even a fourth party as Moneymaker gets shot as well. Not only is it going to be difficult to finish up this fight, but getting to zone is going to be incredibly tough here.
But Minori, he's at least
The old lobby.
got to try and force the issue here. He doesn't have a whole lot of options. When you are this far below Surge, it's almost like ramming your head into the wall, essentially, but he's got to try and net something. F9 and Moneymaker on the other end of the spectrum, though, they've already got everything that they need. 564 above that Surge threshold. They don't have to force any sort of engagement here. They could choose to wait things out. Werix will at least take advantage of the pizza slices that he does have nearby, but look at Minori. Just two separate solos trying to figure out whether or not they can survive this healthy third-party duo interrupting what they had going on here. But Minori, he's got the world against him. He's got Surge taking away at him. He's got behind him, Moneymaker just continuously assaulting him. And they're not willing to let this one go. They're even gonna take over his pizza box.
Wow. That's the final
straw that
step.
broke the camel's back.
The final straw, yeah, literally. How dare you steal a pizza? Werix having his own pizza party in the back, letting everybody fight each other. Fringe Twi started off incredibly strong today. Top of the leaderboard in third place right now, 76 points, but they've quickly been put into panic. 441 below. And you can see, despite them not getting tagged by Surge, things can change in literally one match for the top teams.
It's also just so evident of how much of a disruption it can be when you are forced into an early engagement that you were not anticipating. Fringe and Twi just got too locked up.
Wait, that
They had to spend too much
damn,
time
that
to play recovery.
Wait, no, fuck.
And I'm sorry, Twi, but 10 bandages is just not going to cut it.
Yeah, I don't know why.
Working your way
I don't know why
into that
you
next
so,
edge of zone. Not when
that
you
team
are
way dictate
428
move on.
below the Surge threshold. That is the main contributing factor to his downfall right now. But like that, he's still just trying to withhold that trooper mentality, keep marching forward. It's the least he can do. Feel like it's only delaying the inevitable now, though.
On the right side, though, Sharktini, they were below and quickly played aggressive to put themselves just 45 above edge of zone. So they do have a ways to go. Twi, as you can see, has a
He's so cooked.
much greater ways to go. Oh, be careful, though. Maybe some quick luck of the draw here. Oh.
We are in a
That's
5
it?
take Takata.
No,
He's
it's
so
over. Yeah,
for real.
I don't know what I'm hoping
no
for
one
here.
can shoot at. There is no possible way of survival. Okay, but I definitely respect the effort, the hustle mentality. Just keep marching forward. Sky Scroll, though, drew a little bit more attention on what they would have been hoping for. They're gonna choose to just kind of bunker up on the low ground, though. Got a decent position, isolated away from the rest of the pack, and they're going to opt to continue to just keep wrapping around. They can recognize that there's teams a little bit more distracted, but Keto and Hydro might be exactly who they're after. Sureform Repair is applying a decent amount of pressure into the box. That's a sandwich dream right now. That's Guy and Scroll are looking to take a bite out of, but everywhere else, everyone else is always looking, trying to see who they can pick apart along the way.
There's a lot of duos that didn't struggle for Surge in game 1, 2, and now they're struggling here. Look at Contri Ju too, still in the storm. A lot of players now forced to rotate in a little late. We have players like Cammy, who's actually lost Hari just leading into this end game. Akira Karama as well gonna go down. So much pressure put onto the whole lobby with this Storm Surge now active. Cammy's getting tags, but it's just not enough.
No, and this is just so unfortunate given where Cammy had just placed in the last lobby. But it is just such a journey right now. Cammy still holding on. One shot could be the difference maker here, though, and Cammy, he'll look to take it. It's just not going to be enough, though. A great response, just all too ready with the trigger finger. Shut that dream down. Cammy didn't have many other options there, though. Takada, I wouldn't really look too deeply into it. Focus and Thomas, on the other hand, though, they're looking to definitely have a much better placement, just barely sliding into 25th in the last lobby. Chino, Pablo also working their way up. These little bits of elevation. Now they'll have the chance to look back, and they're going to need more Surge. They'd also like to have a conversion, a couple of eliminations, because their material count, too, a little bit lower than they would like it to be at this point.
Chaos now unfolding. Malapuka's gone down. You can see how many players are struggling to get damage. Vico left alone. He has the experience in these stacked lobbies. He knows how to play them. But despite that, you can still see the difficulty as he's going to continue to overdrive his way in. We'll see what Scroll is up to in the meantime. Looking incredibly healthy. Consistency is the name of this team.
If they've got gold pistols in their clutches, that is just a daunting sight for the rest of the lobby, because you know Sky and Scroll are always going to be in a prime position, not even just for the zones, but to also take advantage of teams that are struggling to just try and break into the edge zone. Vico, unfortunately, looking to be one of their next victims if he's not careful. 103 below on the Surge threshold. He's gonna have to get active. He's got to do it right now. Doesn't take the shot at Nebs. Was just trying to get into the zone, trying to make sure, but he's having to use all of his heals, all of his shield, just to try and leave himself in a somewhat healthy position. Fortunately, Surge will turn off for him. The lobby has thinned itself out down to that 40 player count, but looking back in at Sky and Scroll's successes, and they are just picking up everything that they could possibly desire. Great refreshes along the way.
Up in the clouds, though, check it out. Giannis cheated, looking strong. Issue is, this is one of the initial moving zones. We saw how chaotic it got in the last match. How many teams wanted a piece of height. As Moneymaker gets dropped down. In terms of materials, Pizza's loot.
ท้ายการโหลดไว้ปั๊บ
Looking quite healthy for the meantime, but we'll see how long they can last.
This is cheating Giannis's backyard, though, Takada. We got this south pulling zone over by New Sanctuary, and done a great job trying to apply some pressure to these lower layers. Panzer just working his way through, but too many teams just stuck underneath with him. Pablo, Chino, they're gonna be able to take Panzer out, really steal that body loot too. Doesn't even really seem like Pablo and Chino, they don't want to stick around for that much longer, though. They've got to make it into zone, and they do. But they know there's still a lot of ground to try and cover here. Front side position, gonna help them out. But anytime you drop one of those Glowberry Mist Grenades, you are bound to draw the attention of high ground. So this is really up to Cheatin and Giannis now to continue applying steady pressure, try and prevent some of these teams from challenging them. Thomas, Focus also lurking their way through, just waiting for a pre-edit setup.
Sky has gone down, though. Scroll is left alone. We know what both of these players are capable of playing as solos, so Scroll with already 4 eliminations is going to be hungry for more. Pablo as well, showing that he has that IGL fragging capability with already 5 eliminations, but Giannis cheating. They are still holding strong up top.
doing a great job. That is until Focus and Thomas decide to play spoiler alert. Drive by from overhead off the float rate, miss it, overdrive grenades, and Cheat and Giannis, they'll be forced to drop. Thomas and Focus, though, they're gonna need a refresh. They don't have a whole lot of materials, but the damage has been done. They got exactly what they were after. The eagle-eye view, Chino and Pablo underneath the ultimate low, still managing to stick towards this front side of zone. They found a couple of eliminations along the way. 8 in total is just wicked scenes right now, and they're not the only ones getting active. Howley and Lucia also have 9.
Yeah, Elim central right now. Chino getting cracked, though. He's got to be careful. Howley gonna pop some minis. Thomas HD looking like this might be his season, but Howley goes down. Lusha forced to go into the storm, and now with just a sliver of HP, Focus is gonna drop down and start getting a bit of action.
But this is just aim trainer right now for Focus and Thomas HD. They are just picking the lobby off one by one here. Sai is not going to be able to withstand the pressure any longer. Scary also trying to do his best to avoid drawing any further attention to himself. Every placement counts at this stage. Pablo, Chino, the HP advantage very clearly in Thomas's favor, but he doesn't have any build. This could be 180 if they're not careful. You can see a little bit of reservation in their play. Pablo doesn't have build either. Does Chino? We are looking at seeing who can just find the first shot here. And it's going to be Focus striking down Pablo Wingu. Thomas HD with the finish. A 2-for-0 exchange here, and that is everything for Thomas and Focus to bring this second game home.
Is this going to be the season? Is this the time? We've been waiting for it for so long. Can Thomas HD finally win a major? Frankie Mini, what are we thinking?
It is game 2. We don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but at the same time, how good is it to see Thomas and Focus get a victory royale, Levin?
Oh, it's amazing. It is amazing. And that right there, Mini, is a textbook game for them. I think when you look at how things shaped up in the game and in the lobby, as far as the zone was concerned, it was set up for them to do what they've been doing quite a bit. It's a layup, it's easy, it's straightforward, it's something they've done many times before. They were able to play in the storm quite a bit early on. They rotated in towards the boulevard area when the time was right. And again, you're able to just spend a lot of that mid game avoiding all of the troubles that the rest of the lobby has to experience, and it puts them in that end game in a situation where then it's just about delivering, right? When you give Focus and Thomas HD gold pumps and all the loot in the world, what are they gonna do? They're gonna win your games.
Yeah, they did. I mean, it's one of those. They had height. They had a really good position on height as well. And I think that what you just mentioned right there was really key for that, because they had the resource, they had those materials. They still had 3 pizzas on Thomas, I think it was, when he went up on height. And I think it kind of like alleviates a lot of the problems that they've been having. A lot of their problems have been a little bit of maybe slight just solo plays and having to clutch up, and maybe a little bit of disconnection between them. But when you're playing height, it's very easy to stay together as a duo and just focus on the same goal, and you're always looking down, aren't you, when you're on height? So it's very, very a lot more simple, I suppose you could say, to retain that duo chemistry that they have been lacking this season. But this game is really, really nice for them. They took height again at a really good time, as I mentioned right there. They still had a good amount of resources in terms of heals, and even the way that they closed out the game as well. A lot of teams would have been a little bit more nervous, maybe stayed up on height, maybe not gone down. But I really like the confidence from, I think it was Focus initially, just to drop down, take down one of the players down on low ground, because of course they didn't have anything to sustain themselves up on height right here. So really nice plays, and shows the confidence that this team have. It's just about whether they can continue that throughout the rest of the games.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a team who, again, their fans are going to be happy. Thomas, I think, is very excited about the prospect of this being finally the one. You know, the FNCS he's able to
Thomas need to win
one.
one.
They can keep playing like that. There's no reason why it won't be.
Consistency means qualification for the Major One Summit in Düsseldorf. We'll be talking about who's been putting up the big performances after the break.